All about and more in today's episode of BrobusCast Death Battle Edition. Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of BrobusCast. I'm your host, Brobuscus, with bleeding ears. You'll never see why. With me today is ZDogg.
I am the storm that is approaching.
This is not
This
is not gonna make sense because they can't see your avatar right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, never mind. Yeah.
And we also have Richard.
I may have a runny nose based off of today's conversations.
Okay, I figured as much. Okay, so we have things.
We have stuff to talk about.
Things.
Oh boy.
Rip the Band-Aid off.
Okay,
Alright, so
before we rip the biggest Band-Aid off, we have a little bit of, not too much, but a teensy little bit of levity. Because I personally didn't mind this fight. We have Akuma VS Shao Kahn, the newest death battle.
Yeah. Man.
It's here.
It was a heaping pile of alright.
Man. I'll be honest, I'm kind of disappointed by this one. Sorry to say. Which sucks, because I really wanted to see this matchup, man.
The reactions for this have not helped the fight, which is disappointing.
No. But okay, obviously, we need to talk about the results. Surprise, surprise, Shao Kahn won. I don't know why the community was so split on this one.
Yeah, I mean, you did a pretty good job of explaining why this really wasn't a split down the middle matchup. In fact, it was all Khan's favor.
Yep.
Yeah.
It was all concentrated, you could say.
I walked into this when this was like when Akuma was teased. We knew it was gonna be Shao Kahn. I walked into that being like, all right, so that fight will happen eventually. Kahn will win. It'll give us our first legit Mortal Kombat win in how long, and we'll move on with our lives. And then the full fight got announced, and suddenly a lot of people were being like, "Oh no, Akuma absolutely wins." And I'm like, I
can understand it if you don't know all the stuff about the MK11 stuff and the planet stuff. But,
I'm a part of that boat. I was initially thinking Akuma was gonna win, but then once Brobuscus explained the whole MK11 stuff, I quickly reevaluated that assessment, and I'm like, okay, so, go Khan! Go childhood!
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever been more confused at a split discussion. Like with Dio Alucard, I totally got it. It was clear. It was clear to me that Dio was gonna win, but I can understand, at least in the sense oh well, Alucard's got insane regeneration, so that could keep him fight long enough.
I think the last time I was confused about a matchup that people were sure that it was going to end in this character's favor over the other was Megazord versus Voltron.
What were people actually going for? Were people actually going for Megazord?
Yeah. There was a large majority that were saying Megazord because childhood.
I mean, I wanted the Megazord to win, but anyways.
That wasn't happening.
Anyway.
Yeah.
I don't really think there's much to comment on this one. Khan won.
No.
He won for all the reasons I said he would.
Yep. And no surprises.
Yeah. I'm more surprised that people were so against him in the first place. I was like, what? I mean, okay. If you'd asked me 2 years ago, I probably would have said Akuma.
But then MK11 happened and messed everything up.
then MK11 gave us a playable Elder God, and I'm like, oh, okay.
And then Aftermath just drilled that in. So,
yeah.
Great. Ooh.
Yeah.
But yeah, no.
Yeah, no
No
surprise.
disagreements from this crew. No disagreements from this crew.
Nope.
Yeah.
And for the analysis, I liked it.
Boomstick has Lubin said for 0 out of 10.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't mind the analysis too much. I like when Shao Kahn intervened.
Yeah, that was really funny.
That was the highlight for me.
That was funny.
Yeah, but honestly, aside from the loop joke, which did kind of make me a little uncomfortable, I actually really liked. I actually really liked the analysis. It was pretty good. And,
although it reused a lot of the jokes from both of their past analyses.
Yeah.
Although,
I feel like the finger painting joke is a bit of a staple of these episodes, though. So
it appears in like every single Street Fighter episode that mentions it.
Well, more so in reused fights.
Yeah.
No, it was mentioned in Ken's fight too.
Oh, okay.
What was I gonna say? Oh, they finally were able to pronounce the I'm not even gonna try to remember what it's called. The Akuma's Island Punch move.
Yeah.
They finally were able to pronounce that. They had so much trouble with it in Akuma's last fight. So it's like, hey.
Yeah.
Good job.
That was neat.
I wonder how many takes it took.
Yeah, they had very little pronunciation issues this time, which is something that I don't think any other Street Fighter fight can say. I don't think.
Nope. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, the analysis is pretty standard compared to most, but I liked it.
It was fun. It's inoffensive aside from the joke.
Yeah. It's not the best analysis we've had this season, but you know, not the worst. It's kind of in the middle.
It does its job. It does what it's supposed to. It's just nothing groundbreaking.
Yeah.
And then we.
That's a great segue.
Yeah. Then we get into the fight. Okay.
Yeah.
So I will say we were wrong. This was not sprites. This was done by the Link vs. Cloud team.
The Blender gang.
Yeah.
Yes, the dad team.
Sure.
They are called.
Sure.
Trademark Sean.
Yeah. I don't. I mean,
we were underwhelmed.
Yeah. Thank you.
I mean, it's serviceable. I don't. It's not awful. I want that on record. This isn't.
Yeah,
awful.
It's definitely not awful, and I will say flat out, it is a step up from Batgirl versus SpiderGwen in terms of martial artists.
Martial
artist stuff.
Yeah, the team
has
definitely improved from in terms of martial arts.
That being said, it's still not great.
No.
It's
still quite a way to go. I will say I love the models.
The models look pretty good.
I'm still not a fan of MK11 Shao Kahn's model, but it's grown on me in the time I've seen it, so But thank God they didn't use a lion mane Akuma.
Mufasa Akuma.
Yes, Mufasa.
I don't know. I don't mind the MK11 Shao Kahn. I do prefer the MK9 design, but the MK11 one grew on me quite quickly.
It's not bad.
There's some good details here or there.
Yeah, I love the effects. The effects look really nice. This team definitely excels in that regard. They have more effect-heavy fights, and I think it shows here as well.
The weapons Shao Kahn uses look pretty okay.
Yeah, I wasn't
Yeah.
expecting the spear. I thought they were just gonna stick with the Wrath Hammer.
Yeah, same here, but no, they used it.
So, that was that said, it's still not great.
I hate the goddamn desert setting.
Yeah, I don't know what was going on there.
Yeah.
Because like Kahn says,
Probably.
because like the whole point is that Akuma was interrupting the Mortal Kombat tournament, but like,
Yeah, as he does.
it's just a random SMU desert
Desert.
with Khan's throne just right there.
And there appears to only be one combatant that Akuma obliterates, so if he's interrupting the tournament, where's the other combatant?
Or better yet, I don't know. Where's the crowd? I can understand like not animating the crowd because that would take a lot of models and a lot of time for very little payoff. But like,
I mean, you could have done something other than you could have done some other setting. Other than
if you were going to have it be secluded, then why not use the dungeon pit? Why not use any other asset?
Or Khan's
like
throne room.
That too. It's like anything. It's like I'm sure they didn't choose the desert. I'm sure it probably in the script it just says, "Look, fighting location, random ass desert," and they were like, "Oh, okay, we'll just use an asset. Here's a desert."
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also, I don't know, it may be just me, but I hate the lighting. Everything just looks so dried out. It's bland.
Well, it's a freaking
not
desert. I wasn't expecting like a visual marvel at that. In a freaking desert.
I was expecting color. Like they're like it just it does. It's not visually pleasing to my eyes. I get that it's a desert, but it's like you could still have some pretty cool colors going on in a desert. Maybe some sepia, up the contrast. I don't know anything. Like instead we get this washed out, murky, dirty desert, which granted maybe that's the style they're going for, but it's just oh, and there's also jank.
Oh, there, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of jank, unfortunately.
I don't think it's as prevalent as Batgirl SpiderGwen, but
no.
But like, I mean, the two noteworthy points of jank that come to my mind are one, the Akuma jump. I hate that so much.
Yeah.
And then the other one is when he goes Oni and he's like Star Platinuming Shao Kahn, and it's like he's like constantly hitting his chest, but it has less impact than when freaking I know someone in a Discord server who compared it to that moment in Metal Gear Rising when Raiden is just beating the crap out of Armstrong and it's doing nothing.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, at least that moment has way more impact than this one does.
Yeah.
That and there was it was a video game, so it had a bigger budget.
Well,
but
I mean,
here
it was one moment where one character was getting the crap beat out of him and was doing nothing to him, where in this case Kahn was being pushed back. It clearly had some effect, but we have no idea what. Because there are no visual effects. It barely looks like Akuma's, or I guess Oni, is touching him at all, and Khan's just kind of like
taking it.
Yeah, he's just kind of taking it. He's kind of like sitting there. He's barely moving. He's got his arms up for some reason. It's like he's freaking T-posing. Like, I don't quite get that. That's the worst moment for me.
Also, we get another Xray, this one, it's clear they're trying to have it be almost identical to Khan's actual Xray, but it lacks so little impact.
It's ripped straight out of MK9. That's his MK9 Xray.
Yeah, but it doesn't have impact. It doesn't have any of the panache that you expect. Like, they've been doing X-rays in MK-related fights for a while, and some of them have hit. Like, the best example of one, to my mind, is the one in Goro versus Machamp.
Yeah. I mean, the other one, ironically enough, I know ZDogg's gonna hate me for bringing this up, but the Xray
is the one in Cammy Sonya.
Yeah, the Xray and Cammy Sonya was actually kind of cool.
Trying to remember when that was.
It was like
the
very
season
end.
4.
It was like the very end.
Yeah. Before her death, yeah. I can see. Yeah, I can agree there.
Also, there's one moment in this one during the X-ray where it's just Akuma's skull. It doesn't crack or anything.
No, it's just hey, I have a skull.
Yeah, like
Good to know it's still there.
Okay.
Oh wait, no. Cammy versus Sonya was in season 3, not season 4.
Yeah.
I say season 4.
I don't know. I will say I wasn't expecting Shin Akuma. That was a nice surprise.
Yeah, but it doesn't last that long, and again, it's just like...
No, but like the main focus was obviously going to be Oni.
Yeah. Oh, and then there's the death.
Yeah.
Okay, I like it.
I don't mind it, but the fact that it's off screen is a bit jarring.
Yeah, that's a bit disappointing.
I mean, I get it, limitations and all that, but I mean, there were ways you could have gotten around it. Like maybe you could have just had the Wrath Hammer just take Akuma's body apart bit by bit, and then you just have him use that X-ray and then just crush his head.
I will say I like Kahn stopping the Raging Demon. That was cool.
That was a cool shot.
Although the Raging Demon itself felt very slow.
I don't know.
I disagree. No, I can also.
Like I think the main thing with this fight is like I like the action, but I don't like how it's animated. Like if it was animated, if it was animated better, I think I would have enjoyed it a whole lot more. Because that's the actual action itself, I don't mind. I
could agree with that.
I think it's just the pacing, and maybe had they pushed this fight as the penultimate episode or before the penultimate episode, then maybe that would have given them more time to iron out the kinks.
Yeah, I will admit this fight. It does seem like it was a tad rushed at times, which kind of sucks.
Or just really just say frigate. It would have been another 2D sprite fight.
Yeah,
just have it. Just have it be straight. Yeah, I mean, because then it would have probably improved a lot. It wouldn't have been better, but it would have been much more improved over this.
Yeah.
Well, it also doesn't help that this is coming directly off the 2D masterpiece that is Dio versus Alucard. So,
even then, this team's previous fight, Link versus Cloud, that's not a good follow-up to that.
Yeah, no, it's not. Well, I mean, a friend brought it up. This team seems to show on their own that they are more proficient with characters that have special abilities, swords, and just they are not proficient when it comes
hand-to-hand combat is not their thing.
Yeah,
it's not. We have 2 fights to prove that now.
Like
some people.
I mean,
like I know some people were trying to be like hopeful, like wait, no, like Batgirl versus SpiderGwen probably could have just been a fluke. And I'm like, okay, well, I mean, you're probably not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, I do want them to get better with it, but like, they just need to do it on their own time and not.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe they can get maybe they could get a home run the next time, but I feel like the only way they can improve on this flaw that they have with hand-to-hand combat fights is if they have more time. Because that really is the thing that seems to be the biggest factor in why these 2 fights aren't as good as they should have been, is because they're crunched for time and they have a deadline to meet. They're not given a lot of wriggle room to work with.
Yeah.
I'm just curious why they were chosen for why this fight was theirs and not. fight.
Anything else?
Anything else would have been better.
Yeah, I mean, I understand if they really wanted to do this one, like.
Yeah,
But,
that's probably it. They just
or if they just didn't see all the backlash of Back Row SpiderGwen to do so. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either.
It sucks too
ZDogg...
because, like, their higher points, I can still find them here. Like, I can still...
Yeah.
They're shiny. Like, what they do best is done really well here.
Exactly, yes.
What they struggle with is also here as well, and I think that's a little bit more prevalent.
Yeah.
Especially considering it's a fight between, I don't know, fighting game characters. It's rough.
It's very sad, and it's like ZDogg said, they ended the first half with Link vs. Cloud 2, and that really showed how much they went all out. Whereas here, it felt like we were repeating history again with Batgirl vs. SpiderGwen. They were handed this fight. They didn't have a lot of crunch time. They did the best they could, and the end result is, well, it's not great, especially when you have to compare it to their past work.
Yeah, it's very underwhelming and disappointed, which really blow considering people. There were a lot of people who were really looking forward to this fight, myself included. But
the only way I could see this being actually worse is if it was animated in Source Filmmaker.
Probably, yeah.
I mean, at least with Blender, they're getting better because
I'm glad they moved on to Blender.
Yes, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe just have them stick to the non-hand-to-hand combatant fights because that really is their bread and butter.
Yeah,
and it's the one they seem to go all out on.
Literally every fight that's not this and Back Row SpiderGwen prove that amazingly. So
amazingly,
for real.
I mean, one of them has their own OC Dragon Ball series, for God's sakes, and it is way better animated than anything in this.
Yeah. No.
It is. It's sad.
Yeah.
It's like we waited 10 years for this fight, and ultimately we were just given the bare minimum.
Yeah, which especially sucks for Akuma, because like I said before, I'm pretty sure Akuma's like one of the most deserving characters, I think, for a run back on this show.
Absolutely.
And like, it sucks that like not a lot of people like it, and like he wasn't done better.
No.
Well, not.
Well,
I mean,
I feel like it still goes without saying, like, it's still better than
Yeah, it's still
his first fight.
Still technically better, but like.
I mean that's kind of like. That kind of goes without saying. Still.
Yeah.
But it also kind of says a lot when Shao Kahn versus M. Bison, which is half a decade old, is way better than this animation, and Brobuscus hates the old digitized sprites, but they actually managed to make it work.
I agree with that.
I'm sorry. I rewatched Kahn versus M. Bison, and I stand by it. There are moments in that are better than this.
Okay, I like Kahn versus M. Bison. All right, I genuinely do, but even if I were to say this one is better or worse, I don't think it's by much.
No. I mean, it.
Because I want to stress, this fight is not awful. I know we keep like driving into it, but like.
It's not like, Sector versus Fulgore levels of bad. Nothing.
Like I do see this as a decent return to Street Fighter after what 3 years.
Yeah, about 3 years.
Something like that.
Like. And like we've had better Mortal Kombat fights in this.
Yeah,
Kami
versus Sonya and Sub-Zero versus Glacius do in fact exist.
Yeah.
Well, we've also had non-Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter fights that are better than this. Like, hell, one of them was last year.
Yeah. let's think about that for a second. Akuma versus Shao Kahn is worse than Goro versus Machamp. This is the reality of life. I mean, to be fair, Goro vs. Machamp is amazing, but still.
It is.
Yes, absolutely.
Just you wouldn't.
But it's like we shouldn't live in a world where that is superior.
Yeah. Yeah, it's. Yeah, I really wish it was better, but.
Well, I can tell you what is better: the voice acting.
The voice acting. Haha.
We have Sacramento.
Well, at least one of them is.
Akuma and Giovanni Montegrano returning for the third freaking time this season.
Yeah.
As Shao Kahn.
He gets a win, yay!
And he gets a win.
Yeah. He has been in death battle a total.
Whatever.
He's been in death battle a total of 6 times, and for the for his 6th appearance, he finally has a win. Hooray!
Isn't that where he is now?
Can we talk about how before we even get to his actual performance, I want to talk about how he was completely absent for 4 years.
Yeah.
And he comes back.
He was.
Not only does he voice 3 separate characters in one season, but he also gets his first win.
You'll have to see it.
They literally gave him the Nick treatment.
Yeah.
Now you got some competition, buddy.
Yeah.
Got some competition.
Well, you know what? Yeah.
Now, all that being said, okay.
People have really, really, really been too harsh on Giovanni as Shao Kahn.
Okay.
It's not.
I can
It's
understand.
not.
I can understand the complaint.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind it too much.
No, I didn't either.
It got better for me from the beginning, which is good.
Yeah, it's definitely not his worst performance. I mean, Nathan Drake right over there.
Yeah, you can see his corpse in the sand.
Yeah.
With the helicopter propeller right there.
Yeah, it's been there a while. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Johnny was fine. I don't quite agree.
We've
with
had
complaints.
I can't believe people are ignoring the fact that we've had bad Shao Kahn performances in the past. This is not one of them. I've heard worse.
Yeah.
I think it's just unreasonable.
It sounds a little more. If I was to make a comparison to any of Khan's voices, I'd probably say his MK9 voice. It sounds.
I can hear it.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
I mean, to me, it sounds like
it's definitely not Ike Amati from MK11. But
nope. Well, I think to me, when I heard it, it sounded like Giovanni was doing kind of like a mix between his Lex Luthor and a little bit of MK9 Shao Kahn.
Yeah.
And the problem isn't really his own. It's really the sound team's problem, because I feel like the sound team really should have given him a filter or sped up or, modified his voice to where there's some kind of boominess in it, because Shao Kahn does have a big boom voice.
Yeah.
And obviously Giovanni can't do that. There are limits to what this guy can do. He's not fucking Edward Bosco, who I really think they should have gotten to play Shao Kahn, because he did a pretty damn good Dark Side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
if it were up to me, if it were up to me, I would have gotten the guy who was Ganondorf.
That too. That's also good. Well, what doesn't help here is, and again, it's not Gianni's fault. It's more of the script. Kahn is not even a character in this. He's just a caricature of what we know him as. He's just the big, arrogant son of a bitch who literally takes quotes from past games. So they're really leaning in toward that area, and all Giovanni did was just, give a voice to it.
Although on the complete flip side, talk about a tonal shift. Philip's Akuma is freaking amazing.
It's really good.
Yes,
Classroom.
it's very nice.
I think about this for a second. This is the guy who voiced Yoda.
Yes.
This is the guy who voiced Yoda. Now he's voicing Akuma.
Frickin' Akuma.
That's
range, man. Frickin' range.
That's funny.
That's quite a shift.
Yeah.
I know.
But no,
What
he
is
did a
it
really
with
good job.
this season?
Yeah. Yeah, for real.
Like
The total shift.
This season. Yeah, exactly. This season,
Mhm.
fucking Tom and now Philip giving us two completely different voices from their past performances.
Yep.
Yeah, I really enjoyed his voice, especially when Oni
I
came
did
out.
too.
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oni
oh
was
my gosh,
good.
it's so good.
Yes. And the filter they give him makes it even better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And unlike Alucard, they actually kept his the voice sample from the teaser.
Yeah.
Whoops.
Hooray.
Although apparently, apparently the kind of a bit of a side note, the voice sample they gave for Alucard in the teaser was apparently supposed to be in the episode, but was cut.
Oh, okay.
It would have
Makes
been
sense.
It would have been after the Road Roller and before Level 0.
Okay.
So I want to say they probably cut it because, like, I don't know, probably would have made that moment a little longer and probably would have killed some pacing. I don't know. I'm not an editing maestro. I don't know what goes into deciding this. I'm just here to watch.
Yeah. Well, I mean, hey, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm okay with it being just a teaser exclusive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I really enjoy Philip's Akuma here. It sounds so much.
Yeah,
fun.
he did really good.
Yeah, it's very nice. I mean, he's kind of the MVP in this, like he was in the beginning. So there you go.
Yeah.
Although it's very sad how this whole fight just screams one-sided. Like the animation is one-sided, the match, the debate is one-sided, and the frickin' voice acting is one-sided.
Yeah.
Well, you want to know what doesn't blow me away?
Oh,
soundtrack.
Okay,
Satsui no
alright.
Oh,
Sekai.
so we're talking about that now?
Yeah. Satsui no
Gosh.
Sekai, or however you pronounce it.
or in English,
boring.
as it's translated, the English translation is the world of murder.
Yeah.
Which is a cool name, but it's not a cool track.
No.
It's just
I listened to it 4 times on its own, and there were moments where I kind of popped off, but the rest, it's just like, man, this is...
yeah.
I mean...
Yeah, I'm just gonna be blunt. Least favorite track of the season.
Yeah.
It's not Brandon's best work. I mean...
It's definitely not, unfortunately.
Which is sad.
I like and I can give a pretty good reason why. The other tracks, particularly Apex of Doom and Dragon's Dumplings, those tracks, they at least have moments on their own that are fun to listen to, and they fit like a glove in their fights. This track.
This really doesn't have that.
This track is boring on its own and boring in the fight.
It only gets very good when Oni shows up and the music becomes more aggressive, but then it goes back to the same. Yeah.
Like,
so,
okay. Like
there's also a bit of male and female core in there too.
Yeah.
Chorus, sorry. But it's barely choir. But it's barely noticeable.
So I listened to this before the episode came out. and I was thinking like I gave it a first listen. I was like, okay. And then I listened to it again. It's like, okay, I'm gonna try to like piece together what the fight could bring, and I was trying to think of like where could Oni show up. And throughout the entire track, I'm like, where's Oni? Where's Oni in this? Like he's showing up, right? He does, but the music doesn't really help him much.
Nah, doesn't.
Yeah. So yeah, least favorite track of the season.
Yeah, definitely.
It does have some cool nods to Street Fighter and Mortal Kombat, and it feels like it
kind of sprinkles in a bit of Akuma's theme here and there.
Yeah. It feels like a track you could hear in one of Shao Kahn's boss fights, but the problem is it's just comparing it to the past MK related tracks we've had, you probably wouldn't even be able to tell this is an MK track.
Yeah,
exactly.
And I think that is the quickest we've ever talked about an episode.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate. I really wanted to like this episode, but it's not. I didn't hate it. It's like right now, it's like around a 5 out of 10. It's underwhelming and disappointed.
It's serviceable. It's not awful.
Yeah.
I don't hate that I watched it.
It's just. like I said,
it didn't. I didn't lose sleep over it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it for what it was.
I don't think. Sorry.
Yeah, there are moments I like. I probably say like this is like a 7 out of 10, but like it's a low 7.
Yeah, it's. Yeah.
I mean, last time I gave it a 6.5 out of 10, but now again, the more and more I talk about it, I think about it, it's probably just now gone down to a 5 out of 10.
Yeah. For me, it's a 5 or 6. It's definitely not awful, but it's very underwhelming. Yeah,
I wouldn't even say
it's very underwhelming and disappointed for me personally.
I wouldn't even go so far as to say it's the worst episode of the season.
I mean, I kind of would. I would, but not worst as in god awful. Just worse.
Yeah,
as in, okay.
It's definitely low for. It's definitely not one of the seasons.
It's a lower episode, but it's not. It's not bad.
I would say it's at the very bottom. It starts at the bottom. Like my least favorites have at least something to talk about or engage in, whereas this, I kind of feel like there wasn't that much. There wasn't. There was very little engagement, and overall, it just felt like I was numb to it. The more it kept going, the more I just became less and less invested.
Yeah.
Which again, I don't know how you do that. It's Mortal Kombat versus Street Fighter. You should be invested. You should really be on the edge of your seat. But instead, it's like, no. I mean, it's okay. I mean, I'm not going to lose sleep over it, and it's not going to damage the reputation I have for, or the respect, I should say in this case, the respect I have for everybody involved.
Yeah.
They just put out a dud. And
that's all this is. It's a dud. It's not a dud. It's not a deal breaker. It's nothing to like. I mean, you could look back on it and be like, but would you use it as a thing against the team or all who worked on it? Nah.
No. But like I said before, it is disappointing, especially for Akuma.
Yeah.
For Akuma's big run back, it's nothing special. Which blows.
It is. It is. It's sad.
Oh.
Well, they want to talk about sad.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah. Okay. You know what? Let's not go into. This was not the best episode. I think we can all agree with it. Hopefully, the next episode will be something that takes the world by storm. That's not what I meant.
Oh God. So, Korra is finally in death battle. And who did you want her to fight? Let me bring up my list here. Let's see. We have Ray. That's not bad. That's pretty good. We have Delson. Yeah. I'm in it. I'm for it. We have Boruto. Why? We have Deku. I can see that. Anakin.
Don't break my heart anymore.
And then at the very bottom of the list, this is what we get. We have Korra fighting Storm. Pretty sure my mouth just had an aneurysm.
My whole body had an aneurysm listening to that.
Okay.
I'm gonna quote my friend from when we reacted to this. The worst time.
Yeah, this
It's the worst possible timeline.
Okay, so apparently this is a legacy matchup. Even Ben on the commentary said that this is a legacy matchup. And I disagree with that statement entirely.
We'll get to that later.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Okay, I just have to.
Just
where we begin?
Why? Freaking why?
I hate it when I'm right.
Of all the matchups you could have picked.
Yeah, you're right. How do you feel?
I feel like shit.
Okay.
Look, I don't like Ray, but I would have been okay with that. I don't have a problem with Korra versus Ray as everyone else does. Like, yeah, it is kind of mean-spirited, but like, I still think it could have made for a cool fight. And then there's Delson, which is even cooler, but no, that wasn't happening.
Okay, and apparently, this has not been confirmed, but word around the hood is the reason they chose this fight is not because of it being a legacy matchup. It's because, unlike Korra versus Ray, they wanted to have a matchup that avoided the toxicity.
Yeah.
Which, fair enough, but in that case,
why use Korra at all?
Use Korra at all?
Exactly. Yes. Exactly.
If you wanted to avoid toxicity, then just don't use Korra. I'm sure there's a lot of people who aren't going to be okay with that, but like, if that's your main point, then just.
I mean, I'll live.
Like.
Yeah, no. As a Korra fan, I will be okay if you don't use Korra.
Yeah, I mean, or if nothing else, just save it for DBX.
Yeah. Like, I would have loved this fight as a DBX.
That's a better compromise.
Yeah, this would have been cool. This would have been cool DBX.
That's a better compromise, but no.
Nope. And instead, we're putting the Avatar against an Omega level mutant in a death battle.
Yep. Against some Marvel Herald, baby.
Yeah.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, before we get into that, we should probably talk about these characters themselves.
They exist.
Yes.
So I'm gonna go last because I've been teasing Richard for the past like 5 weeks or something.
Alright, well, go ahead. Go ahead, Richard. Give your thoughts because I don't have any opinions besides what I just said.
Okay. I'm a Korra fan. Shocker. I've been a Korra fan since book 2. Not the best introduction, but you know, whatever. I looked past it, and you know, I grew to love the series. I feel like it was a worthy successor to Avatar. It is not better than Avatar. I do not believe that statement. I believe it is just as good, and it deserves to stand side by side. I love Korra as a character. I found her more relatable, and I just loved her world and these new stories you could tell. And for the longest time, you know, I've been like, okay, yeah, I want to see her in Death Battle because I feel like this would be an even better time to reintroduce her because it's been almost a decade since she's last been in something that blew her up in popularity. So, yes, I love Korra. I have a ton of Korra merch, and just this year I got an autograph from the voice of Korra and Valley. She's very nice, and yeah. And so yes, they're essentially Legend of Korra is my Ruby. That's the best way to put it. and then there's Storm. I actually do like Storm. I grew up watching her in the 90s cartoon and X-Men Evolution and Wolverine and the X-Men, and I saw her in the live-action films. She sucked in those films, by the way. And yeah, I like her. I like this queen who can essentially manipulate the weather, because I've always liked weather. So yeah, she's cool. She ain't Wolverine, but she's pretty damn awesome. Okay, I'm done.
All right. So I have a lot less to talk about with Storm, so I'll start with her.
You've been waiting here even longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, she exists. She's a Marvel character. I like Marvel a lot, so I just don't really know a whole lot about her. I know she's like she's married to T'Challa, so that's pretty cool.
She's the Queen of Wakanda, bitches.
Yeah. I know she's in Marvel 3. I barely played her in Marvel 3. I should probably fix that now. And that's about all I know. That's about all I've got. I know Storm as a character, but I don't know a whole lot about her to say like, yeah, I really like her, or nah, I don't really like her. And all right, now to talk about Korra. I know.
All right.
I know Richard's been dreading this moment, but here we go.
Okay.
So, how do I say this?
Oh boy.
I'm curious how to word this.
I should probably hide, shouldn't I?
No. Okay. I don't hate this show. I should probably get that on record. I don't hate this show one bit. It has its moments to shine. I think animation-wise, it's way better than Avatar, and I already like Avatar's animation.
Here. That'll agree with.
But all I see is just an inferior Avatar. That's really all I see from the show, which isn't inherently a bad thing, but honestly, like, to me, some of the best parts of Korra are from returning characters from Avatar. Like when Zuko shows up or when Toph shows up, I'm like, there they are. I like the sort of like, where are they now sort of dynamic that each returning character has. But then I say that because the new characters don't really do it for me. I mean, Korra herself, I don't mind. I didn't like her at first.
Understandable.
Her quick temper, her
naivety, hot-headedness.
Her, I don't want to say like. I mean, I don't mind characters with like an overconfidence complex, but I feel like Korra took it a bit too far. And sometimes it got her into trouble, which is how it should be. But other times she's just kind of like, I'm okay. I'm like, no, you're not. Something bad is going to happen, and then something bad probably happens. I think my biggest issue with the show, and I know Richard has said why this is the case, but it still doesn't help me, is that with each season, it feels like the story is over.
Yes.
And then the next season's like, oh no, the story's absolutely continuing. Don't worry about it. And then that story ends. I'm like, okay, this show has ended 4 times now. Like, give me a proper ending, for crying out loud.
Yes, and spoiler alert, it definitely still continues that in book form, because after the show came out a couple years ago, the Dark Horse Comics commissioned Legend of Korra comics, which continues the story after book 4. So,
great.
yeah. But don't worry, the writing and everything is definitely more better, and things are more fleshed out, and because they're in comics, the pacing is a lot better.
Okay. But yeah, I understand why that's the case from like a behind-the-scenes perspective, because Nickelodeon just was not nice to Korra's creators.
No, they weren't, and that's ironic because these creators brought them Avatar: The Last Airbender, their biggest moneymaker in the early 2000s, next to SpongeBob. So, yeah, Korra had a lot of behind-the-scenes shit, and the one thing I'll say, it kind of give you an idea. The reason why each book feels like it's the end of the story is because originally it was only meant to be a one-off, but then Nickelodeon loved it so much that they continued it and commissioned them for another season. And then they would tease the creators. Yeah, and then finally another. Like, okay. Like, this is how...
break.
Well, no. They took it to a whole nother level with book 3 and 4. Book 3 and 4 came out the same year, months apart from each other.
Fun.
But book 4 was so mistreated that after the first 6 episodes, the remaining last episodes of book 4 were not allowed to air on TV. They could only air on Nickelodeon's website, and they slashed the budget. So, yeah, yes. Bastards.
Like I said, it makes sense because like book 1 was supposed to be the final one, and it shows. That's the worst. That's the worst offender of it, in my opinion, because book 1 ends in the most jarring and Mary Sue way possible.
Yes.
It is so bad. Like I watched the ending, I'm like that's the ending. They should have had like at least one more episode.
Like, and then book 2 took it to a... Book 1 and 2.
Book 2 is so bad. Like
it's worse.
But like book 1 really just has a slow start and then a really bad ending. Book 2 is just bad across the board. I did not like book 2.
Yes.
And I think the most of it is, and I know some people brought this up, and some people are like, it's not really that, but other people are like, yeah, it's totally that. They contradict Avatar quite a bit.
Yeah, they do.
And like in Avatar, okay, where does bending come from? Richard, how about you answer that? In Avatar, where does bending come from?
Well, in Legend of Korra or in Avatar?
In Avatar.
Ah, shit. Well, it doesn't. Well, I'll just say this because I know what you're about to say. It doesn't come from whatever the hell Legend of Korra says it comes from.
Okay, well, I'll just answer it. So bending comes from like different like animals, because Avatar has like blends of animals. Like there's badger moles, there's polar bear dogs. Which, by the way, I wasn't a fan of book 1, but Naga is the cutest thing ever, and she's so like. I was like,
hell
Naga
yeah.
is the best character. Naga is the best character, and she doesn't even have a character.
Well, see, fun fact about Naga, real quick. Naga was originally supposed to be Aang's original pet, but then they switched him out. So for Korra, the creators thought, hey, remember that polar bear dog we were going to give Aang as a pet, but, then we created the most lovable pet in Avatar? So let's just do that for Korra.
Yeah, of all the it's so weird because of all the returning characters they brought back in Korra from Avatar, Appa is nowhere to be seen.
No, Appa is nowhere to be seen.
And I'm like, did they just forget? Like, because his species is there, but he's
Yeah.
not. I'm like, did they just forget about him?
Well, I would say Oogie is an okay replacement. I like Tenzin's Bison.
I guess. Oh yeah, Tenzin's the best character. No question.
Yes.
And I mean, it helps that he's voiced by J.K. Simmons. So there you go.
Which I did not know that when I started watching it all those years ago. That holy crap, that's J. Jonah Jameson as Aang's son.
Yeah, and so like in Avatar, like for example, earthbending comes from badger moles. They're the creators of the art, and they're the ones who taught it to Toph, and so on and so forth. Well, in Korra, they just decide, hey, how about we don't do that? Because in Korra, they have like spirits and gods and lion turtles that gave bending. I'm like, really? You couldn't have kept the consistency there?
Well, they do also contradict themselves, because in Book 4, in the finale, when the invasion is happening, basically badger moles actually come to save the day, and the person who's they switch it back by saying, it's like badgers are the original earthbenders, so they actually go back on that. So I guess you can just count that as like the midichlorians in Star Wars.
Just like, what? So yeah, and honestly, in general, I walked into it thinking like, okay, this is a show that is probably good, but I'm curious why they made it in the first place, because Avatar ends off on such like a perfect note that I always viewed it as a show that didn't need a sequel. And then watching Korra, I can safely say that I was right. Not that the show is bad, but I just think it's unnecessary.
Well, there's conflicting reports on why it was created. Like apparently after the bomb that was M. Night Shyamalan's adaptation of the series, Nickelodeon commissioned Brian and Michael to start on a new series. And then there's other reports that Brian and Michael just were like, you know what? There's a lot more story we can tell here that we know the audience don't want, but we want to do it. So they went to Nickelodeon, and Nickelodeon was all like, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Yeah.
But the main consistent thing is they only wanted to make a sequel series to Avatar, but they didn't want it to be a full-on seasonal series. They only wanted it to be a mini-series, which is why you got Book 1 feeling a bit unbalanced at times. It felt like it just had to tell this story from beginning to end in such a quick-paced manner. But because of its success, and Brian and Michael not counting on it, Nickelodeon was like, can you do more? And they were like, okay, I guess we can do more. Perfect.
Book 1 has the best villain, and that's really just because of his voice actor.
Yes, which that's another area that fans often do kind of, even Avatar fans agree on, and I know a lot of people do not like to admit it because they feel like that's kind of a bullshit statement, but Korra has better villains than Avatar did. Avatar only had Azula and Ozai as the main big bads.
Korra had more villains, but I wouldn't exactly say they were better.
Well, I feel like better comes in terms of fleshing them out. The only one that was really fleshed out was Azula, whereas Ozai, he was just a one-dimensional bad guy.
Yeah, Ozai had barely any fleshing out to him.
He was
just kind of an evil conqueror because he was.
Yes, but that's why I've always said, and I've always asked people, when they get into Korra, if they're going to watch it from beginning to end, they have to set their expectations low, because it doesn't get fundamentally good or even great until the final 2 books, because that's where they really hit their stride. And by that point, Nickelodeon was letting them do whatever they want.
Yeah. Yeah, book 3 and 4 definitely feel more natural in comparison. Like the transition between them, it actually doesn't feel like they're ending a story. Because like book 3, the end of book 3 sets up Kuvira and Korra's injuries, and then that transitions really well into book 4. And I like book 4.
Yes, absolutely. Book 4 is my personal favorite, just because of how well it was done. And once you find out about the studio bullshit that Michael and Brian were put through, it's a miracle that final book came out at all, because there was so much that happened behind the scenes.
Yeah.
God, I wish this podcast could have just been about talking about Legend of Korra as a whole instead of what we're about to talk about.
I would need to rewatch Korra for us to do that.
Oh gosh, is there going to be the 3rd podcast, the Korra podcast?
No.
I'm not going to make that like the podcast. Anyway,
I'm not doing a podcast on a discontinued show. Okay.
Okay, that's
fair enough. So now, ZDogg, whenever you do eventually get down to watching it, I ask that you do the same thing. You lower your expectations and you just go in treating the show, because essentially that's what the show is. And it's its own thing, and it doesn't. It's its own thing. It honors what came before it in its own way. It does do questionable things. I'll give you that. But at the end of the day, it's still made by the same people who generally give a crap about the product and don't see it as a product. Whereas Nickelodeon, they just always were going to see it as a product.
Although, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think you've seen Avatar, right?
I've seen certain episodes. I haven't gone back and watched the whole thing as a whole.
Okay.
If that makes sense. Yeah, so I'm sure I'll do that as well. So.
Yeah, I might need to do that.
Maybe.
I don't know if that's a necessity for you to watch Korra, but it's probably something you should do.
I mean, they do a good job. If you really want to know about the characters, when they show back up in Korra, then yes, you do need to watch it. But if you know enough about the characters from Avatar, then it's okay. They don't spoil that much.
Although, to be fair, at the same time, like, it's Avatar, why would you want to turn that down?
Exactly, yes. And in fact,
Avatar is
I may
freaking
have
amazing.
I may rewatch it.
It's not.
Yeah, go ahead. Okay, it's half amazing. That's the problem.
I like what I saw, but I wouldn't have lost sleep if I never watched it.
That's fair. Again, it's a show, much like Avatar, it's a show that does warrant a lot of rewatchability, because, again, at the end of the day, and I hated how fans are divided, when really they shouldn't be. These are 2 great series in their own right that are made from a good place. Just a shame that the corporation under them just didn't give a shit in the end.
No, then again, when do they ever? Anyways,
yeah.
Hot shots aside.
If I can say anything about these characters, I am at least happy to see them on, to learn about them. So that's going to be interesting. I just wish it was not against each other.
I'm interested to learn about Storm, because I don't know a lot about her.
It's just the fact against each other.
Yeah, it's just why against each other.
My knowledge of her is dangerously lacking, so I am looking forward to learning about her, but then that just brings us right back to this. Yeah. Them fighting.
Why are they fighting? So, I don't have a lot, when it comes to, how is this a legacy match, all I have to go off of are guesses. I don't think it's ever been publicly said.
Because you didn't get anything from that guy.
Yeah.
About it. I forget.
The main guess I'm getting at here is it's a similar case to like Poe versus Iron Fist, where they just really wanted to bring in one character, and then the other character is like, I guess the choice they went with. Like with Poe and Iron Fist, they wanted to bring in Poe really badly.
Yes.
And they knew how much Iron Fist was a suggestion for him, and they were like, all right, that's good enough. I can only imagine that was the thought process for Korra and Storm.
I guess that makes sense.
Because like Storm was at one point the matchup for Korra, whether you like it or hate it. And then Rise of Skywalker came out, and everyone started transitioning to Rey.
Yeah.
And then
the commission came out for Korra Delson, and then everyone flocked to that.
And then there was me who wanted Korra versus Anakin.
Yeah.
Perfect.
In an absolute perfect world, I think ZDogg could probably agree with me on this. Korra would have fought Crunch.
Okay, you know what? I would have been okay with that because that would have been funny. And I saw everyone freaking Leo confirmed that would have been so funny.
And then I found out there's actually a huge crowd. Well, not a huge. There is a decent crowd that wants Midoriya from My Hero Academia to fight Korra.
I do not understand that. I've watched both Korra and My Hero, and I'm like, what? Are you serious?
Granted,
I don't know.
Granted, there aren't that many connections.
I mean, I think it would be cool to ZDX, but like, yeah, I don't think it would have been a death battle. Plus, not to mention, Deku has like a million matchups under the sun.
Yeah.
At
this
point,
Deku has so many matchups. You could like throw a stone at a shelf of them and land on one and be like, all right, we're doing that one.
And then for some stupid ass reason, there's Korra versus Boruto.
Yeah, I don't know that one either.
I'm gonna think that's just, Aang versus Naruto.
Yeah.
Why did you remind me of that? I didn't want to be reminded of that.
Well, too bad.
Well, at least that's what I went with.
Although another matchup I've heard, I don't want it, but it was Captain Planet, just because he didn't fight Aang. But it's like, dude, if Captain Planet's gonna fight either of these two, it's Aang.
If Captain Planet were to fight anybody, it would be either Aang or Storm, which I've actually recently discovered that, when out of all of Captain Planet's opponents, Storm is the only one who can actually beat him. Because of one of her powers that she has.
Absolutely beat him.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yep. So, as you can see from this conversation, Korra had a very tragic disease called bad matchup syndrome. Is that Delson? It only plays. It's really tragic. There's no cure for it as of now, unless. Yeah, I know Luffy has it as well. It's such a shame. I wish I could find a cure for him.
Luffy has it so bad.
Well, okay. Well, all right. So
I will say, to give some form of levity, because we're gonna need that. It was said, I probably shouldn't be sharing this, but it's public knowledge now. So.
What? Yeah.
I'm not gonna talk about Rey. I don't want to beat a dead horse. They did. Mm-hmm. It was said by one of the researchers, not any of the ones working on this fight, that Korra versus Delson is a fight that they think would be cool and are interested in. So
yeah, honestly, at this rate, I'm gonna guess it's gonna be a DBX this season, like with Zuko versus Roy.
And if not that, then like maybe in a few years' time. We'll get Korra Delson.
I give it till season maybe 10 or 11.
Sure.
Which.
Or again.
Or DBS.
Yeah.
I
know the Nick Ball switch. Not a little match,
but
sorry.
Well, What also, I didn't watch the Death Battle cast today, so
They did not.
I have no idea.
Korra vs. Storm was not brought up. I will not
Okay,
even
well, that's
remotely. So
they did the thing. They did the other thing. I thought I guess they would do. They not mention this fight at all. So that just makes it even better.
Yeah, I mean, okay, to be a bit more fair, it's not like Storm had the best options in terms of matchups either.
No, the only other matchup I've heard for Storm was Fujin.
That's not bad.
I also remember hearing a weather report from JoJo, I think.
I mean, I'm down for Captain Planet versus Storm, even if my childhood dies.
Yeah, it was a weather report versus Storm. Yeah.
I think the biggest problem.
Yeah.
The biggest problem this fight has is that this is a shitty debate. This is not a debate.
Oh yeah,
it's completely.
We'll get to that.
Okay, jumping the gun. Sorry.
Well, let's talk about production.
Yes.
Yep, it's probably not gonna be. It's probably gonna be sprites.
It's like the only thing that can save this fight now.
Yeah, I'm really hoping.
Wait, ZDogg, I was wrong. We were wrong. There is a cure for this fight. It's called Ryuko versus Shadow. We inject it with that, and it should be good to go.
Yeah, fair.
It'll still have a bruise, but hey, be fine walking around, all that.
Yeah, basically animation and stuff is the hopefully gonna be the saving grace of this one. No, please. Yeah.
So this is probably sprites, right?
Yeah, it's probably gonna be sprites. Okay. Out of curiosity, because I kind of found Korra's fight being in 3D kind of weird. Cause she was in Smite, right?
Yes.
She was in Smite, but she also had her own video game, but her own 3D video game. But let me just say right now, this probably would have been better when we were talking about Korra as a whole. It was made by the same people who made the awesome G1 Transformers game.
Platinum.
Okay, sorry. Platinum, yes, Platinum.
It
was made by Platinum, but it was so bad, so mediocre, that Platinum disowned it, and you can't download it or buy it anywhere anymore. It's non-existent.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Although, from what I've heard of the game, that's probably for the better.
Yeah, but so.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just felt like Korra's fight was destined to be. Yeah, I felt that Korra's fight being sprites was just expected, because I didn't know what other model she had besides Smite, and also Brawl.
Smite, but also Korra's animation style does lend itself to some 3D elements. There are some 3D elements in the show's animation.
Because to save around time, they have to use CG.
Yeah. So it can lend itself to 3D, but the fact that it's Storm, probably can be sprites.
Which also kind of undercuts one of the big problems that I have is that there's not going to be that much hand-to-hand choreography going on in this fight, because that's what Korra and the other Avatar characters specialize in. In fact, Brobuscus probably knows this. Most of the bending elements that were created, they were specifically designed and based off of actual Chinese martial arts. They would even get martial artists to come in, choreograph them, and then they would trace and kind of use that as inspiration to have it be in the fight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's definitely the case. But I mean, as long as they can make bending look interesting, I'm fine, I suppose.
I mean,
because that's kind of been the problem with Avatar fights, that they don't really find a way to make bending look interesting.
No, they treat the bending as kind of an afterthought. It's just meh. I mean, Zuko versus Todoroki tried. Yeah. There was some kind of effort, but it just wasn't enough.
That's also mostly because one of them commanded fire, and the other can like block it or
do more than
it.
that.
Yeah. Like, well, yeah, they're gonna make bending look kind of interesting there, but they kind of falter anywhere else in that regard. I still like that fight.
Yeah. There could be some cool aerial potential fights, but the problem is Korra can only quote unquote fly when she's using her firebending to kind of jet boost her around.
She flies in the sense that Iron Man flies.
Yeah, and she also, like Aang, she has an air staff, which gives her the ability to glide.
That's true. I don't like Avatar State, the air scooter. I think that's so stupid thing. It's funny.
Yeah.
I thought it was stupid in Avatar, so that's not a Korra problem.
No. And Korra is proficient in the air scooter. I mean, she beat Aang's grandkids in a race. Although she used the Avatar State as a nitro boost.
Yeah, so she cheated.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, I could see some like cool aerial combat, some cool elemental combat, I can imagine some cool visuals because thunderstorms can make for some spectacles.
Maybe some cool hand-drawn elements in there too. You know, that'd be nice. I would imagine the Avatar State looking beastly, potentially.
Yeah. Although I severely doubt it, but I guess there's a possibility of this being an in-house 3D fight. Like I guess the possibility is there. I doubt it, but like
I heavily doubt it. Honestly,
I wouldn't be. I'd be surprised, but I'd be like, oh, you know what? That kind of works.
Yeah. And
I know some people are gonna be like, oh no, they're gonna save that for the season finale. It's possible they can do both.
That's true. They can do both.
They have a lot of animators at their beck and call. And remember, and keep this in mind, they've only done one fight this season. This entire season. Just one.
That's just true.
Now, I mean, okay. To be fair, they've also done a lot of work on the backgrounds. That's fair.
Yes, which I am, of course, expecting this to have a CG cityscape.
Yeah.
Because that kind of would be the best place to have it, because Korra takes place in a fantasized version of the 1920s or Warring 20s, and Storm is obviously based in New York City. Mm-hmm. So I feel like having it in a cityscape that is a good compromise.
Yeah. I think the problem arises. I mean, there's another problem that arises. We'll get to that later. But I don't really know how their styles are gonna mesh together. Which is always what I think of when I think of any matchup. Like, how well do they clash together? Because this obviously is more of a debate thing, but just to get it out of the way, it's apparently Korra can't redirect Storm's elements, or something.
No, she can't redirect lightning. Now, granted, I'm not denying she could if she was taught. It's weird that she's the Avatar and she can't, and she doesn't know how, because I mean her ex-boyfriend is a goddamn firebender and he can shoot and redirect.
It's also one of the worst characters in the show.
That too, but you know, whatever the case.
Anyways,
it's okay. She can't redirect. She can't redirect most of her attacks. Like if it's air or if it's water based, yeah, she can. But that's about it. Like most of Korra's attacks can be redeflected or redirected by Storm.
Yeah.
So this does present a bit of a problem choreography-wise, because it's like, here's how the fight goes. One is on the ground, one is in the air. It's long range versus close range, but the close range has to use more of her long range attacks to even remotely be on equal footing to the person who's in the air.
Yeah. Although at the same time, if it's 2D, we could see a potential of maybe seeing a Marvel vs. Capcom style Korra sprite, which would be kind of cool.
Maybe.
So, I guess there's that.
Wait, there's also another question. Will we see the return of the Cabbage Man?
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah.
Maybe?
I hope so.
He was in Aang versus Edward.
Yeah, but...
And Shadowrocky.
And
Zodoroki.
That's true.
But, like, Korra takes place, like, several years into the future. The Cabbage Guy does show up, like, once.
Well, maybe it could be his son.
He did, yeah, because, okay, spoiler alert, the Cabbage Man actually did have a legacy in Legend of Korra. He even had his own statue, I believe. So,
I don't remember
there's that. I think. I'm not sure, but I know
it's probably there. I just don't remember. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's possible. I won't deny the possibility, but I also think it's possible that he won't. At least not in the style that he did in the other two Avatar fights.
That's true, because at least with Aang versus Edward, they stuck to that time frame, whereas here, like, it would be decades into the frickin' future, so, yeah. I don't know, maybe that'd just be cool to see. You never know. They could sneak it in.
Yeah. Yeah, that's totally possible. If he does show up, then obviously they can reuse some Noel voice clips.
Yeah.
And on that note, let's talk about potential voice acting.
Well,
frick me, I don't know.
We have good news and we have bad news. Good news is we did hear a bit of Korra's voice in the teaser, but
the bad news is it wasn't dialogue.
Yeah, that's problem number one. It wasn't dialogue, so we don't have a general idea if they actually did get a voice actress to come in and kind of give their own take on Korra, or if that is indeed Janet Valley, because that's the other thing I was going to bring up. They did bring Dante Bosco back.
I don't expect
to
them to do
reprise
that
his role as Zuko.
I think Dante Bosco was a special case.
Well, I mean, I think you could realistically do it with Janet Valley because number one, Legend of Korra. Okay, go.
Well, here's the thing. Yeah, they did it for Zuko, but they didn't do it for Aang.
Well, okay, to be fair, Aang's voice actor doesn't have his, preteen voice anymore. He's grown. If you he's
okay, fine. I guess last resort, they didn't do it for Toph.
Fair enough. Yes, they did not do it.
But then again, that was also season
2. Yeah, that was back when they didn't have that kind of resource.
Yeah.
And
that was season 2.
And the second thing
that was pre Iron Man versus Lex, where they were actually able to get Funimation voice actors.
Yeah. And then the second thing is Dante Bosco and Janet Valley actually do an Avatar themed podcast together. So
really?
Yeah, they do. It's pretty good.
Huh.
They've had crew members come on. They've had old voice actors from both shows come on. It's very good. I recommend giving it a listen.
All right.
Ever curious?
I just might do that.
It's called Bending the Elements, I believe.
Okay. I mean, if they do it, I'd be amazed.
Me too.
I would be so down. But
yes.
I'm gonna say it's probably unlikely.
Yeah, it probably is. Which, you know, I'm not going to lose that much sleep over. I just hope that the actress who they do cast can do a pretty damn good job capturing that early book 1 through 3 spirit Korra had before book 4 Korra, you know, was more wise and she was more mature and kind of gave up that thing. So, yeah. Although what's ironic is Janet Valley actually voiced Wonder Woman in the Injustice film that came out this year. So, what that would be? So yes. Now,
all right.
What would be so funny? This would be like, holy crap! What the hell is going on? Is if they actually got Wonder Woman's voice actress from the past Death Battle to come back and voice Korra.
That would be funny. I could see that actually.
Yeah.
When I was watching, I kind of got like Aaron Zek vibes a little bit.
Yeah.
So, you know, going from Blake to...
if it's Aaron, oh my god, how funny would that be? Like, maybe that's the reason why Aaron Zak couldn't voice Blake in the past Death Battle. She was voicing Korra. Oh, your only mate would be so pissed. I'm kidding.
I think he would actually welcome it.
I know he would. That would be cool.
He and Aaron are bros, if I remember right.
Yeah, they are. So, that would be cool.
And then Storm, you have a lot of leeway. It's a comic book character that doesn't have an established voice.
Yeah, Storm doesn't have an established voice. She has a ton of different voice actors. So, but the one common thing that they all gave Storm, and except for her live-action counterpart, ironically, is Storm does have an accent.
Yeah.
So, whoever voices her would have to give her that accent that she is known for.
Yeah. But anyways, on that front, I have no idea. I'm just gonna wait and see.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not even gonna bother to make a guess. I'm just like, all right, well, whoever voices Storm will probably do a pretty good job. They tend to nail it with comic book characters.
Yeah, they do. I just hope that this can be more equal footing than the last fight. Because I really would hate if it was kind of one-sided and one actress does a bad job and the other one has to kind of make up and carry the fight.
And then I have nothing for the music. Might be a Brandon track. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, ZDogg did bring up the commission track, so, and Brandon
but that was for Delson.
That's true, yes, but he does. It did show that he knows that sound. He knows how to do that classic sound. So, sure. I'm expecting the track to be hopefully better than World of Murder. But if it has vocals, then I'll be freaking shocked.
Yeah.
Even though I don't think it would need it.
Nah, probably not. And I'm trying to find something else to delay this as much as possible because
I'm pretty sure that's it. We're out.
Okay. Now we get to the worst part of this fight. The reason why this is such a bad match.
ZDogg's like, ooh, it's finally happening.
I'm just gonna, you know what? I'm just gonna say it outright. Korra fucking dies.
Yes.
Pretty much.
Korra fucking dies. I mean, okay, she already died to the other two, but at least with Delson, of all people, it was close.
Yeah, with the other two, you can make arguments for Korra to at least have advantages. Like, I'm pretty sure her versus Delson is close. I know nothing about Delson, so I wouldn't know. But And then like Ray, like you could argue like maybe she could get past certain aspects of Ray's fighting, but then Ray just kind of force hacks her way to win. With Storm,
there's
nothing. I mean absolutely. Like, I exaggerate nothing when I say this. There is absolutely nothing you can argue for Korra to win.
And what's funny is I've seen one reactor who actually had the balls to say, "Oh, Korra's got this."
No, she doesn't. No, she doesn't.
No.
I wish she did, but she doesn't.
I do too. Like
I don't even wish she wins because I prefer her. I actually have no idea who I prefer here. I wish she did because it gives me some talking. It gives me something to talk about. Like, oh, maybe this could help her. Maybe not save her, but it could help her quite a bit. But there's nothing. There's actually nothing. Anything you could argue for Korra, Storm has as well. And even better.
Yeah, it's just, it is literally that old song and dance. Anything you can do, I can do better. I can do anything better than you. That's really all. Okay.
Okay. Let me put this into perspective. Okay. So this match might be a bigger stomp, but I'm gonna make a comparison to of all matchups, Flash versus Quicksilver. Because here's the thing. There is at least with Flash vs. Quicksilver. Okay, Quicksilver was never ever in a million freaking years going to win.
No.
I don't think there's anyone going to argue against me on that. But at the very bare minimum, you could argue something. Like you could say, okay, so they even say it in the episode. Quicksilver had the upper hand in combat training. That's an advantage.
Yeah.
It doesn't save him, but it's an advantage. This fight's got nothing. Storm's got everything going for her.
Yeah, and I'll even go. I mean, obviously, this is like even the other fights this season that are argued as a stop. There, you could barely arguments for the other character winning somehow.
Yeah.
Like, in one way or another, you could argue like the opposite character winning this season for like most of the fights, I'd say. This one, no.
No, there's nothing.
Yeah.
Korra loses. And there's no argument to be made against that.
No, there really isn't. And, okay, so I talked to a friend of mine who knows more about Storm than any of us, and I asked, does she have any fucking weakness? And he says, well, she has one, but it's one Korra can't take advantage of. Like, Storm's powers are tied to her emotions. And so if you were to do something to piss her off, she would lose control of her powers, and therefore she would go kind of into a berserker state. So she's essentially like Superman. She has to keep herself in check before or else the planet will be fucked. Now, and obviously, Korra can't do anything against that because Korra is not the type of person to mess with people's emotions during a fight. So,
well, the other thing too, Korra's not exactly exempt from losing herself in her emotions either.
This is true. Yeah, especially
in fact, it's more likely for Korra to lose control than Storm.
Yes. Yes. Especially if we're using books 1 through 3 Korra, who did lose control of her emotions and temper.
Yeah.
Which they most definitely will do.
Yeah, and on top of that, I mean, obviously, like, okay, Storm's an Omega level mutant. She can, like, eclipse the planet in thunderclouds. She can keep up with Thor. That's kind of a GG right then and there. But at the same time, you could argue, like, someone said, like, oh, what, does Korra maybe have, like, better martial arts? No. Storm's been trained by some of the best martial artists in Marvel history. So that's a no. I
will say, though, okay, yes, like, well, she has been trained in Storm has been trained with the best martial artists, but that's kind of the thing right there. It's not her go-to. That's the problem.
I mean, that's true.
Is that martial arts are kind of the last thing she'll do if she really doesn't want to make a scene or she doesn't want to use her powers. So in that regard, in terms of who actually is better at implementing martial arts most of the time, it is Korra. But that doesn't mean jack shit here, because Storm is not going to give Korra the time of day to get into a fist fight with her.
Nope.
Because she'll recognize that she's too dangerous.
And it's like, oh, well, maybe Korra's got more, like, elemental control? Nope.
Nope. Nope.
Storm can command all the elements, too.
She can even mix in other elements. Like, one of her favorite attacks that she loves to do is acid rain. Make it rain acid.
And that's it.
From the sky. Yeah, that's it.
I mean, okay. I guess you could argue from, like, at a surface level, Korra appears to have more elemental control because, you know, you think of Storm and you probably, like, the first thing you're going to think of is, you know, she can command thunderstorms. That's the name.
Yes.
But, yeah, no, she has elements. She can control all the elements, too.
Yes.
So,
and in terms of who has the... And overall, and another thing, it's like, oh, okay, well, Korra was trained how to use the elements since she was a kid. It's like, well, see, that's the thing, though. It's like, that doesn't, again, mean anything, because Storm has more greater levels of power than Korra does. So Korra knows how to... Korra has experience in just the basic elements: earth, wind, fire, and water. Whereas Storm, she has more
kind of
Yeah, metal bending is just there, but yeah. Whereas Storm has more versatility.
Yeah, for sure. And on top of that, I mean, kind of obvious, but she's just packing more power and more speed. Korra's not. Like, even if Korra had all the secondary advantages, she's not touching Storm. That's not happening.
No.
Even if she did, even if any attack were to land on Storm, Storm would just be like, "Oh, you're attacking me. Okay, redirect this, redirect that. Just tank this like a boulder, and then zap, you're dead."
The only way I could see Korra winning, only way, but this would require her to actually getting close, is if she were to use airbending to suck out all of the oxygen from Storm's body. But there are two problems with that. Number one, she has never demonstrated to do this ability because it would be completely out of character for her. She wouldn't do that to somebody.
Yeah.
And number two, Storm can just create air molecules out of nothing. She and the X-Men one time went to a planet that had no oxygen, so she just made some. She just made oxygen out of nothing. So that right there is another W for Storm.
I feel like anything you could argue for Korra is a moot point, because Storm has either done that as well, and even better, or she just wins by existing. Like, she's an Omega level mutant. You don't mess with that, even if you're the Avatar. Like, that's not something you could just compete with. I mean, I've also seen people say, like, oh, maybe Korra's got, like, experience or something, because she's the latest of the Avatars. She's got all of the previous Avatars to fall upon.
She did. She did.
Well, even disregarding that, Storm still has more experience. She's kind of a Marvel herald.
Yes. Exactly.
Several years of experience just kind of does that to you.
Whoa. Okay, that was weird.
Yeah, I don't know what happened.
Yeah.
Anyways, there's no point in continuing this. Storm wins. I don't think there's a single person.
No, there isn't.
I completely agree.
No, yes, and again, like, really, even if you were to talk durability, because that's the one thing people seem to really be hammering home, is durability. Korra, at best, by herself, is maybe barely city level, especially with the attack that she had to redirect and survive in the final episode of Book 4, which, as I've stated in the past, is essentially akin to an atomic bomb, which the atomic bomb did not come out, and it was not invented until 1945. So that's pretty much the high cap of Korra. But if you compare her to Aang, or if you scale her to Aang, which I know they will do, she's maybe large city level. She's barely reaching mountain level. But then there's Storm. At worst, she's planet level. At most, she could be higher than that. So,
yeah, Storm can hang around with Marvel Heralds. It's not a contest.
And the worst possible way too is Storm has more options to kill Korra whenever she wants. Korra can only really do major damage if she's in the Avatar state, but even then, her Avatar state is not as powerful as Aang's because of what she went through. It was kind of a little nerfed for a while, but she did get it fully back up to power, but it's still not nearly as powerful as Aang's. So not even the Avatar state can really help her. She's pretty much dead in all areas.
Yep.
And I know we know Death Battle likes to do this thing where they look at one outcome out of this many and give a reasoning for maybe this is how this character could win. Korra absolutely doesn't get any of this shit because there are no outcomes. There is no 1 out of a million outcomes Korra has to where she wins.
Yeah.
10 times out of 10, she loses.
Yep. Yeah. So
Absolutely agree.
It's been stated that this is probably the most one-sided death battle we've had in a long time, and it's right up there with. And it's right up there with Flash versus Quicksilver, as Brobuscus mentioned.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, that one's still probably a bigger stomp, but
at least Quicksilver had something.
An advantage.
Yes,
you can't
at
argue
least
a
one.
advantage for Korra.
No, you can't. There is no advantage. There is nothing Korra has. And
the only thing I've seen argued for Korra, and this isn't even like an advantage in a fight, it's just something that can help her, is like it is heavily implied, she's never done this, but it's heavily implied that her, she was trained healing from Katara.
Yes, that's true.
And she can heal others. It's heavily implied that she can heal herself. She's never done this, but I don't see much to say that she can't. Just that she never has. But like that doesn't.
Then there's.
But like that doesn't. That's not an advantage. That's just something that's like, oh hey, that's pretty cool.
Well, and here's another problem with that. In the Avatar universe, when a waterbender heals somebody, it's not instantaneous. It takes a while. Yeah. So Korra would have to find a way to stall for time while she heals herself. And even then, it's like they can't heal from major wounds. Like if it's a lightning wound or if it's falls or anything like that, they can heal from it. But if it's impalement, well, they're fucked. They can't heal that.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't know how many more times we need to say this. Storm wins. She so very much wins. Oh my goodness!
And if you disagree, what the hell's wrong with you?
Exactly.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Let me get this right. Okay. So, the last 2 fights have been pretty split in the community. Like I said, I don't know how that's the case for Akuma Khan.
Whatever.
Yeah, whatever. It was, so which is the point I'm getting across. If this fight is even a fraction of how split those two discussions were, I'm actually going to start questioning humanity. Like,
I'm just gonna question my fellow Korra fans, or because again, it's like, look, I want Korra. Who doesn't want their favorite character to win a fictionalized fight to the death? It's like, yes, but it's like this. Out of all of my characters that have been in death battle, Korra is one that cannot win, and it does make me kind of sad that for Korra's first death battle, this is what we get. We get a shit stomp, which is kind of reminiscent of Samurai Jack versus Afro Samurai for me. I wanted Samurai Jack to be in death battle because I knew he would win, but it came at the expense of Afro Samurai, who has no other matchups beside that one. At least with Korra, she has other matchups. It's just, for her first one, this is what they chose. And I really cannot agree with any reason they give me why they chose it. They just chose this fight because for some stupid reason or another, it's a legacy fight, but it's not even a real legacy fight. People who want this fight, legitimately, you can't convince me otherwise. This isn't a tin theory hat. This may actually well be the truth. People who wanted this fight just wanted it because they wanted to see Korra die. That's it. It's not a fun debate. It's not something that you can do very much with. And at the bare minimum, all it'll come down to is it'll have good animation, voice acting, and a good track.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna say that, even though not a lot of people like Korra versus Ray, and yeah, that is spiteful. At least I was spiteful towards both of them. This is just towards one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do want to say, obviously we know Death Battle. They can make a lot of really bad matchups look cool.
Yep.
Yes.
So if this ends up being another case of that, then all right.
Good.
I want this fight to be good. I'm rooting for this fight to be good.
I do too.
I don't know how to feel about this. It's probably going to be the most well-acclaimed Atla episode, though, or Avatar episode, though. That's going to feel weird.
That's definitely
and that's
weird.
At least that is weird, but at least it's something, because again, it's like, I mean, for God's sakes, I mean, we've got two matchups. I mean, the next teased fight after this
Madara
is
Aizen.
arguably, Madara Aizen.
Big match. That's big. That's a big boy match. And then we got the finale coming up, which no matter what it is, it's probably going to be pretty big.
Yes, but this feels like the middle. This really does feel like the middle child of this back half, and I really hate it because this could have been good had you chosen the right matchup, and maybe you would have had something. Because really, that's what Death Battle needs to be. It needs to be at least debatable. It can't just be one-sided and spiteful. And I know that's not their intentions, but it's like this fight has zero redeeming qualities to it as a debate.
Well, so let's just hope the episode's good. And too long didn't watch.
Fingers crossed.
Korra versus Delson should have been the fight.
Yes.
Or Ray.
Yes.
I don't care.
And
I mean, Ray too, yeah. But Delson, in a perfect world, it'd be Delson. I knew that wasn't going to happen because we're doing a 10-year anniversary season and we're picking Delson instead of Cole. But I mean, Cole had a million chances to be in Death Battle at this point.
Just put it on the show already, for gosh sake. Gosh.
It's like, if we had gotten Cole versus Alex at some point,
Maybe we, again, to quote Luis's tweet, people cannot be upset at Death Battle and just assume that they won't get to their matchups. They will. They're not going to.
Delson will happen at some point.
Yes. And when it does, it'll be a lot better than this.
Well, you never know, but still.
Fair enough.
Well, okay. That's that.
Yes, it is.
So okay.
And
I'm curious how we handle this next topic because we do have another thing to get to. We do have another thing that requires our attention. Not on this podcast, but just another thing in general.
Yep.
Okay, I guess we could just breeze through it real quick. Let's power through this. There's not a lot to talk about here, but let's power through it anyway. I want to get this last segment done as fast as possible so we can do our other thing that's not going to be a part of this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so we're talking about Brandon Yates' soundtracks again.
Yeah, been a while, but yep, we are.
I know it's been a year, but and I know there's like 500 tracks at this point. But to compensate, you know how much we like vocal tracks, so we're gonna focus on that.
Yeah, and I'm sure we'll get to the other ones at a later date, some way or another.
So it should be noted, the tracks we're picking from are in the official playlist.
Yeah.
We're not 100% sure if it includes all of them.
No, and there will be more eventually, so there's nothing we can do about that.
So for reference, if we miss one, then it wasn't in this playlist, and we will probably talk about it at a later date.
Yes.
And also, we're not going to be talking about Marvel for All because we already did.
Yes.
So okay. Speed run. Go. So.
Hallelujah no Okami.
Yeah, Hallelujah no Okami. This we don't know who. Brandon doesn't credit the commissioners anymore, which is weird.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
We're kind of going by the soundtrack titles and the matchup at hand. This is meant for Mako versus Chie.
Yep, good match. And good track.
Yeah, it's a good track. Very tonally weird considering the characters.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good track. Nice beat to it.
It's pretty good. Nothing outstanding, but for this match it works well enough.
Yeah. I don't know if I'll do this. If I do, I'll probably have. Because I recorded our group listen to it before we started this podcast. I might make like a unlisted video out of that. Barely any effort put into it. Just it's like okay, we start at this point, end at this point. All right, here's the video. And if that's the case, there'll probably be a link in the description. So we'll probably have we have a bit more to talk about there. Because we're just gonna speed run through this. All right, next. Devil Draws Near. This is meant for Virgil versus Terry from Dragon Quest. Weird matchup. I don't know Terry at all.
Yeah, I don't know what the theme is here, honestly, but it seems cool, so whatever.
Yeah, it seems fine. Terry wins, and that's unfortunate. That's not really, I don't know anything about Terry. It's just Virgil eating another L is depressing.
Yeah.
It's a good track. I like the track a lot.
Yeah, it's a really good track.
Very metal, very Devil May Cry.
Yeah, very DMC-esque. So.
And I have no problem with that because I like DMC a lot. I like its soundtrack.
It's cool. It's cool.
But yeah, it's very DMC-esque. It's very Virgil-esque. They literally dropped Son of Sparta in there twice. And yeah, not really much more to say.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, next we have Warhammer of Doom. This is meant for, I apologize if I pronounce these names wrong.
Oh gosh.
Thrall versus, Gaskell? Sure.
Sure, that works.
Yeah. One is from Warcraft, the other is from, Warhammer 40k, I think. I think that's what it's called. Anyways, I know nothing about the characters. I don't know anything about the franchises. I don't know if there's any references there. So all I'm left with is a pretty standard vocal track with a surprisingly deep voice from Brandon. I had no idea he could go that deep, but all right. The track's neat, and I don't really have much more I can say about the matter.
Yeah, same.
Okay. Next we got Tooth and Claw. This is meant for Melina versus X23. And it features the same female vocal lead as Lost Ice Storms. So if you like her there, then you'll like her here.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a cool track. I like it a lot. I definitely vibe with it quite a bit. I think the match is a little weird, but like I can't think of much else for X23, so
yeah, I think that's fine enough. So
I'll take it a million years over Melina versus Xray at the very least. So okay, next is Vocal Masters with an ad.
Adsters.
This is meant for, I apologize if I pronounced these names wrong. Hatsune Miku versus
Haruka Amami? I don't know.
Yeah,
Something
sure.
like that.
Whatever. I know nothing about, once again, I know nothing about the characters. I know nothing about the franchise they come from. I don't know much if there's any references here. And this track slaps.
Yeah, this is surprisingly really good. I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah. I think the repeating lyrics are a little weird, but I feel like that might be a reference to one of the so whatever. If that's the case, then I'll let it slide.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, but aside from that, it just has a nice beat to it. It has a nice tone. I like it a lot.
Yeah, it vibes. It vibes.
Yeah. Nothing more to say. So next we got Phantom's Game. This is meant for Joker versus Neku from The World Ends With You.
Yeah, surprisingly not Deku versus Minato, so but what still.
Yeah.
That's a bit odd, but whatever. It's still a cool match, and this is also a cool track.
Yeah. Although from everything I've heard about Neku is true, then
He died to both.
Probably not the best match for Joker. Anyways, this is straight.
I don't know.
Anyways, this is straight up a Persona 5 OST, and I kind of love it.
Yeah, I'm cool with it because Persona 5 has really good music, if nothing. Yeah.
I haven't played the game.
Neither of us have played it, but I mean, we've heard the music, so.
Yeah. Joker's in Smash. That's all you need to know.
Exactly. Yeah, but no, it really vibes.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's any World Ends With You reference though, so.
Yeah, if there is, we don't catch on it because we don't play the game.
Exactly.
Okay, Waking the Demon. This is meant for, if I pronounce this name wrong, I apologize. Reen Schwarzer?
Schwarzer.
Yeah, versus Byleth.
Versus Byleth Bad.
Well, I mean, he is. And much like how uninteresting he is in Smash, this is kind of an uninteresting soundtrack.
Josh.
I like the tone.
You're wrong.
I like the tune, I suppose, but like it's just kind of a standard track to me.
Yeah, it's just inoffensive, in my opinion.
Yeah, knowing nothing about both characters doesn't really help. And yeah, the track is just kind of it's a fine track. But it's just more of a standard thing because I don't know anything about the characters. Okay.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, next one I personally really vibe with, but
a
lot of people.
It's just alright to me.
A lot of people don't.
It's just alright to me with the vocals and.
Okay, so it's Predator and Prey. This is meant for Predator versus the meta.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm such a huge Red vs. Blue fan and I love its soundtrack, but this is amazing to me.
Maybe, like the background soundtrack sounds fine enough. It's just there's something about the there's something about the lyrics that just it doesn't work as well for me. IMO.
Apparently, the lyrics, according to the description, the lyrics were like the first draft of the lyrics were written by the commissioner. And then like Brandon went in and fine-tuned it, and we got what we got. But like, I don't know, it works for me.
I mean, it's not bad. It's just but I don't know. There's just something about it that doesn't vibe as well to me compared to the other ones. If that makes sense.
I guess.
Yes.
Okay. Next is Primal Chaos. This is meant for Chaos versus Kyogre. Good match. First off.
It's cool.
And it's a pretty okay track.
Yeah, that's alright. It's very heavily skewed towards Chaos, though.
Yeah, definitely open your heart feeling, which I don't mind.
Yeah,
open your heart is amazing.
Exactly, but it would have been cool to have like some sort of Pokemon ref in there.
Yeah. If there's something Pokemon related in the lyrics, then I didn't catch it. Well, speaking of the lyrics, they drop an F-bomb in there for some reason.
Yeah, that's jarring.
Our very kid-friendly Sonic and Pokemon games.
Okay.
An F-bomb in there. Okay.
Okay, I understand. I can understand it for Chaos Unraveled. I don't excuse it here.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because Chaos Unraveled, half of it was kill.
Yeah.
I kind of expected as much. It took me by surprise when I listened to it, but like now that it's been out for a while, I'm like, oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, next one I don't want to talk about at all. Next one is Fire and Fury. This is meant for Liu Kang versus Jago, and I'm just gonna be upfront about it. I'm not really a fan.
Yeah, it's not good. I don't like it. Okay, well, I don't. It's not. There are some good parts about it, but like, it's not overall. It's not that good.
Like I thought at least like the chorus would like help me out a bit, but like I don't like the beat. At least I don't like the tone.
Yeah, I really don't think rap fit either of these two at all. Which kind of
not just the rap,
my enjoy it.
Not just the rap, but the actual like chorus of it. Like it just doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
Also they splice
That's
in.
fair.
They also splice in the Mortal Kombat shout and a Kenshiro quote for some stupid reason.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
No,
it does not work.
Stop. Please. Gosh. Yeah, it's that. I think it goes without saying this is definitely our least favorite.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. No question.
Yeah. So whoops. Which ironically, well, okay, I know. I'm guessing you're gonna skip it again, like we did.
Yep.
Which is ironic because in this playlist, it comes the next fight in the
best one.
Yeah, exactly.
But we're saving that one for last for obvious reasons. So with that in mind, the next one is No Believability. This is meant for Haruko versus Gwenpool. I know Jack all about the match. I know Ultra really likes it, and I think he's the one who commissioned this track. I could be wrong about that though.
That would check.
It would track.
Yeah.
Track's alright.
It's fine.
It doesn't do it for me.
Yeah.
It's just it's a pretty standard track. I like that they got a Japanese vocalist in there. That's pretty cool, I suppose. But aside from that, it's something I could listen to in the background and be alright with. But would I listen to it on its own to like jam out to?
Probably not. Yeah.
I would for the next one though. This one is Ninja Sex Bob-omb. For
yeah, this one absolutely vibes and is my second favorite.
Yeah,
one.
Such a weird name for such a weird matchup.
Okay, to be fair, it fits considering. Okay, so well, say the match first.
Yeah, it's Scott Pilgrim versus Danny Sexbang.
Of all matchups, and it's not Scott the Wild, that's an H. And it's not Scott the Wild mage, anyway. But
anyways, for a track that has lyrics that have both characters going against each other. Oh, by the way, the guest vocalist here, Kid Yuki, sings for Scott, and Brandon sings for Danny.
Good.
And for a track that has both characters going against each other, it has a very weird positive vibe to it.
Yeah.
You know, even though the characters are very clearly at each other's throats in the track.
Yeah.
Which is so weird, but okay.
It's really weird, but no.
But it works because this track vibes so well.
Yeah, it's really good. I can really see it like being part of a Ninja Sex Party album or like a song, and then Scott Pilgrim. So it works. It definitely worked for this matchup. So
yeah. I just don't know much about the characters of the track, the franchises to truly judge. But I could say I vibe with it. It's neat sounding.
It's cool. Yeah, I'm definitely glad that it got commissioned, and it's really cool, really good.
I guess we forgot to. I know we're speed throwing, but I guess we forgot to mention if we won any of these matchups. Aside from potentially Mako Chie for me, potentially Predator Meta, Chaos and Kyogre, and Liu Kang and Jago. So far, aside from them, no.
Let's see. So I'm just gonna go through the list on see which ones I want. I want Mako Chie. Let's see. I'd be fine with Chaos versus Kyogre, Liu Kang, Jago, the one that's next, and it's not gonna happen. But I think Scott versus Deanna would be funny. Even if I prefer Scott versus Scott. So there's that. Yeah. So yeah. Otherwise,
the only reason I say potentially for Predator Meta is because Predator has Barbiter, and I think that would be cooler. But if they do Meta, I'd be fine with it.
Yeah. So.
It's a cool matchup. But okay, now we have the last one, and I really wish we weren't speeding through this, but we are.
Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's not much we could say that hasn't been said already.
It's true.
Yeah.
So the last one, the best one, and I don't think there's going to be much debate about that. Will of the Drill. This is meant for Kyle Rayner versus Simone the Digger.
The best one.
It features the same co-singer as Blood Moon, and what a tone shift. And weirdly enough, I could feel a bit of like from just the characters, because like Xray is Kyle and Brandon is Simone. It's what's weird is that unlike Scott and Danny, I feel like it almost feels like Simone and Kyle are like together.
Yeah.
But like I like that so much more. So I don't care. And this track, oh my sweet lord, this is the best
so
track.
Good.
I'm just gonna say it. This is my favorite track Brandon has ever done.
Yeah. I don't know if I would go that far, but like it's definitely up there.
I mean, I haven't listened to every single last piece of music that Brandon's ever done, but
yeah.
But just
well, in terms of like the
ones I have listened to, this is the best one.
I agree.
And I'm not just talking like of these commissions. I mean in general. Like whether it be for Death Battle, for Death Battle commissions, or just his own work. I haven't listened to much of his own work. I mean, I did listen to Olympus Mons, but that's just because it was like the instrumental of it was used for Bowser Ganon. Although listen to that track, it's really good. Anyways, Yeah. Holy crap! I don't know what more I can say about this one. This track is amazing. I think it's the longest
really
out
good.
of all of these, which works really well. And it makes me want to see a match that I initially thought was Spite. So I think it did its job. And it makes me want to get into both these characters.
Same.
Like I haven't watched Gurren Lagann, and up until now I never really had much intention to. But now I'm interested, and I also same for Kyle. I want to read Kyle's comics now. The only it's not really this track's fault, but like the only problem I have is like when this fight will probably happen at some point.
Definitely, it's really popular.
But like I'm curious / concerned on how Brandon's gonna top this. Because like with the other episodes that happened that had commission tracks, Brandon's goal was to like, okay, so take what I made for the commission and improve upon it. That was his whole point. That was the whole point made when we were getting like
understood.
Yeah. Like someone asked, like, are they using Titanic Shadows? And Brandon was like, I've spent like it's been like 6 months since that track. Do you want to see how? Would you rather see how far I've come since then?
Oh gosh.
But then I'm like, dude, how is that gonna apply here? Because like this is the best thing you've ever put out.
Yeah, it's oh boy.
Well, at the same time, if it is better, if the official one is better, then that'll help the actual episode a lot.
Yeah. And hey, good.
Yeah.
It just means we got something better than this, which is holy crap a high bar, but you know.
Yeah. Watch. Now we're gonna get a different vocalist, and it's gonna be longer. That's how they're gonna top it.
Dear gosh.
To be fair, this is probably a match that could warrant a season finale.
Yeah, I could see that, honestly.
And with this track backing it up, I mean, it won't, but
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, but no, really good track. Definitely the best one. No contest.
Yeah, no contest. Okay, and that's it.
Yeah, solid selection besides from Fire and Fury.
Yeah. Again, if there's more, we don't know about them.
Yeah, and we'll get to them some other time, maybe, hopefully. I don't know.
Let us know in the comments if we missed one, please.
Yeah, and let us know what your favorite one out of these are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I said before, mine's probably, besides Will of the Joe, it's probably Sexpo Bomb. Ninja Sexpo Bomb.
That's probably Credit and Pray. Or Devil Draws Near, probably. Okay, that's it.
Yep.
Probably the shortest podcast we've done in a while.
Yeah. Gosh.
Although to be fair, what we got didn't exactly leave us with much.
Yeah, for real. But yeah.
Okay, that will be it.
Yep. And yep. So see us next time for hopefully a good positive look on Korra versus Storm.
Yeah. And then hopefully, possibly, potentially, most likely, an interesting discussion on Madara versus Aizen.
Yep.
So, okay, that will be it. That's all we have to say. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye-bye.